Hey there guys, I hope you are doing well. I'm here today doing my December wrap up. So it is 2021, it is a new year. I'm going to tell you all about the books I read that finished off 2020 because that was a disastrous year, but my month was actually very good in terms of reading. So I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to tell you all about the books in the order that I read them and hopefully it'll all go to plan. So to start off with December, the first book I read was The Leaving by Tara Altebrando. This was a book that was very highly anticipated for me. I was really looking forward to reading it. I couldn't wait to finally get into the story. This story follows 6 children disappearing, then 11 years later, 5 of them come back. And this story follows the returned children trying to figure out what happened to them in the 11 years that they were missing. And then it also follows the sister of the one child that didn't come back, trying to find out what happened to her brother. It sounded great. I was really excited to find out. And in the end, I found it a bit lackluster. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was definitely an interesting story. I gave the story overall a 3.5 rating. I think that to start out with, it got a little slow. It was a little bit dull and boring. I just wanted it to end. And then as soon as I hit the halfway point, the pace just really picked up and it became something I was invested in. And I really couldn't wait to get to the end. But that good pace, the quick tension, everything like that, it didn't make me forget the beginning. I was disappointed with it. I felt that sometimes there were things like, I don't know if you can see it properly, but like this mixed media here, some different type of formatting. It's all very strange. Like things like that happen. And I thought that'd be really interesting. It'd be really key to the story. And it wasn't. I felt as though that it was there because it really differentiated between the characters. It really showed who was who because they all had their own unique writing format, which I did like, I have to admit. But it did take me out of the story. And then when you get to the end, I just kind of felt as though it wasn't necessary. So in the end, I just wasn't happy with it. I feel as though this would be an absolutely amazing TV show. I think if we could get this on TV, all of the stuff that the author did that really was different here, like stuff like this, the different types of writing, I'm trying to find one particular type, but I can't find it there. Like it's in blocks like that, things like that. I think if they could translate that to a TV, like put that into a series, visually it would be so good to watch, and it was a really interesting story for that. But because we didn't really get much from it, I don't think it worked as a book, and I was really disappointed. So it was a disappointing way to start off the month, but I wasn't hating it. I really enjoyed it. I just felt as though things definitely didn't work, and perhaps the book would be better suited to a different format, which is not something. And then after that, I joined in tandem with their read-along of Shiver by Ali Reynolds. This apparently is not even out yet, or it probably is out now, to be fair. But at the time I received this, it was actually an art copy, which I did not know. This follows a group of people who go up to a ski lodge for a reunion because they were all old friends. And then when they arrive, they find out that their secrets are going to be revealed. Because the last time they were all together, something happened that had deadly consequences. And it was really, really good. I gave this book a 5-star. I was hooked. I had different guesses every day. I think I actually have I do. It's on my Instagram memory thing. I have every single one, like every day I was reading, because they gave us cards that we had to answer and things like that. I had theories for each day I was reading it, things like that. They are spoiler filled, so if you have not read the book and you want to know what happens, do not go and check those out. But if you have read this book or you plan on reading this book, check those out after you've read it, because it really shows how my theories change per day. It was interesting. I did not see where this was going. I guessed a little bit. There were a couple of twists in this. I guessed some of them, not all of them. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great story. And this one was a very top contender for my thriller of the month, which I didn't do last month because it was a new year. I'm going to try new things when we start the new year. So I don't know where I'm going with that. But this was a very, very top contender for that. I really, really enjoyed this, and I would absolutely recommend it as and when it comes out, because I can't tell you for sure when it comes out. I'll try and find out, and I will put a date somewhere. Might be in the description, so if it's not on the screen, look in the description. But yes, great story, 5-star read, would 100% recommend. Then after that, I have a in real life book club, and the choice that we had this time was This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. I listened to this via audiobook. I borrowed it from my online digital library, and I thought it was fine. It was a very decent story. I gave it a 3-star rating. I felt as though when I was listening to it, it was quite funny. It told a serious message as well. It was a very good balance, and it was an excellent story, but I didn't care. Like, I think that's how it is with me. I'm not really a non-fiction reader, so I didn't want to give this book anything negative, because I actually did enjoy what I read of it. The issue is I'm not a non-fiction person. I was reading this book because it was for book club. Therefore, I was reading this book because I had to, not because I actually wanted to. So, in the end, I gave it a 3-star rating. If you do like non-fiction, I would absolutely recommend it, because I do think it was actually a really good story. It was told in a very easy to read way, a very funny way. It was very comedic, but there were so many dark moments. With that, there are actually a lot of content warnings for that, so please check those out before you go into it, because there are some very dark moments, as to be expected from someone writing a diary with their work in the NHS. But it was really interesting, and I think it's definitely worth a go if non-fiction is your kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, just not enough. It wasn't my kind of thing. It wasn't something I picked up naturally, so it wasn't the best. But what I read, I did enjoy. And then after that, the next book I read was my continuation of my Women's Murder Club buddy read with Jade, and that was Seventh Heaven. And this one I gave a 4-star rating. I thought it was really good. I felt as though every character was in there because they had a story to tell. I have an ongoing issue with the Women's Murder Club. There are 4 main women in this Women's Murder Club, and as a result of that, there is not always a story for all 4 of them. So they always just get kind of shoved into a single story, and it makes no sense that they're involved in this story. And I would prefer that maybe one of them didn't show up in a book because they wasn't relevant to it, rather than forcing them into it just because you want all of them together. I would prefer that didn't happen. So it's always been an ongoing issue for me. But with this book, I felt as though every one of the women had a relevant story. They were all perfectly suited. None of them was ever forced into any situation. They were there because it suited their character to be involved in that. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star rating. I remember really thinking it was interesting and well developed and a lot of fun. So yeah, great read. Really would recommend, but obviously it's part of a series, so I can't really tell you any details about what the plot is or anything like that, which is quite sad. But I can't do that because I don't want to give any spoilers in case anyone here is watching and wants to read the Women's Murder Club series. And then following on from that, I read I Am Watching You by Teresa Driscoll. This was a 5-star prediction, and I hated it. I say I hated it. I gave it a 2.5 star rating. It had potential, and I didn't dislike it. It's just, it got ridiculous. When I got to the end, I was so disappointed. This was a book that I'd been warned it had twist after twist after twist, and I was really looking forward to it. And then I got to the end, and it was just so disappointing. This is a story that follows a woman on a train as she sees 2 boys talking to 2 girls. She thinks nothing of it until she realises that the 2 men are fresh out of prison. Suddenly she wants to get involved until last minute there is something that stops her from ever intervening. Then she wakes up the next morning to find out that one of the girls have gone missing. And then a year later, the girl is still missing, but secrets start coming to light that maybe the girls were not as innocent as first thought. And I was hooked. I wanted to know. And then when I started reading this story, I didn't care at any point. I mean, I will give the book points for going dark. It did go dark, and I really enjoyed the darkness. But then I feel as though reveals and things like that, it didn't give me any satisfaction. It actually really bothered me because I was just like, oh, cop out. And I didn't like it. So, not a great read for me. I gave it a 2.5 because I saw the potential. I definitely saw something in this book. I could see where it was going to go. And it did not take me there. So I couldn't give it a good rating. I'm sorry about that. Now after that, I read a book that I actually really did enjoy. And that was The Memory of Things by Gay Paulsner. This was a 5-star prediction for me. It actually got a 4.5-star rating. This is a story about the day of 9/11. A young boy sees the Twin Towers attack happen, and then on his way home, he finds a girl wearing wings and covered in ash. He suddenly makes a decision to take this girl home with him because his father is a New York City police officer and he is worried for this girl's safety. So he decides to take her home and try to keep her safe that way. Once they arrive, he realizes that this girl has no memory and she has absolutely no recollection of who she is, what is happening, and questions start coming around about why she was wearing wings, why she was covered in ash, and it's about the boy trying to figure out who this girl is. And I really love this book because it was very tragic, but it told a story of hope and love all around the Twin Towers and that attack and how people can rebuild their lives after such a devastating incident. And I really enjoyed it. It's definitely something I would recommend reading because it was very reaffirming and positive, and I loved it. It made me very emotional. It made me very happy. There was so much tied into it. Great story. Following on from that, I then read the Heartstopper series. I was going to call it a trilogy, and then I was like, nope, not a trilogy. So I read Heartstopper 1 for the second time in 2020. Then I read Heartstopper Volume 2 and Heartstopper Volume 3. And I loved this entire series. I thought it was really good. I love following Nick and Charlie. I love their relationships. I love their friendships with other people. It's a great series. It's really heartwarming. It's beautiful. It's so cute. But it also deals with some really serious issues. Now, I read Heartstopper Volume 1 earlier in the year, in 2020, because I got it. And then when I had these two, I thought, oh, I need to do a reread because I want to read these and I feel as though it's perfect if I can read this again. So that's the first time I think this year that I've actually reread a book twice in 1 year. So I was really happy with it. All of these books obviously got 5 stars from me. I adore them. I'm hooked. I cannot wait for Volume 4 to come out. I've got it pre-ordered. I'm very excited. But of course I love this. There's no sort of question. Of course I love this. This story follows 2 young boys called Nick and Charlie, and it follows their relationship. And it is precious, and it is cute, and it is an amazing graphic novel. One that if you have not read, you should check out, and if you have read it, you know what I'm talking about. Then we got to Horror-a-thon Christmas edition, and I picked up The Shining, hoping it would be a nice, quick, easy read. I was very excited to read it, and I did this as a buddy read with Catherine. I didn't like it. I did. I gave it a 2.5. I like the story, but I don't like Stephen King's writing style. I don't like his classic writing. I've read one book, so I don't know, it might have just been a fluke with that book, but I read one book that was written post-2000, and I absolutely loved it. And then every other book I've read was written before 2000, and I did not like it. So I am currently under the impression that I don't like Stephen King's classic writings. I like his more modern stuff. Of course, I need to read his more modern stuff for me to be able to fully say that, but that's a current theory I'm working on. So The Shining follows Jack Torrance as he moves his family into a hotel, which he is going to be working in over the winter. They are stranded there, so he knows that, and suddenly a lot of creepy things start going on in the house, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. I don't want to give any spoilers. This is a very well-known book, so people probably do know what happens with The Shining. I'd never read this book before. I've never watched the movie, so I really didn't know much. All I ever knew, like my knowledge of The Shining came from the episode where they read it in Friends, and that's literally it. But yeah, I was disappointed because I really didn't like the writing style. It took me forever to get through it. In the end, I had to listen to this on audiobook because I physically couldn't pick up the book anymore, and it was just making me not want to read. So I'm very sad about it. I gave it a 2.5 because, like I said, the story was really good. And if you like Stephen King's classic writing style, which I know a lot of my friends do, then this is probably an amazing book to pick up. And I know a lot of people will love it. I'm not a fan of the classic writing, I don't think. I need something a bit snappier. So yeah, not a book for me, but definitely. Then I went back to the Women's Murder Club and read Eighth Confession. Again, I did this with Jade, and I thought this was a really, really good story. I gave this a 4-star as well. I really like it. The only thing I don't like about the Women's Murder Club at the minute, and I said this in my TBR video for January, I don't like the main character. Lindsay Boxer, who is our main character, is hell to read at the moment. She's very ridiculous when it comes to a relationship. She can't make up her mind about what she wants, and I'm thinking, you're very well up in the police, you're very mature, you've grown so much, why can't you handle a relationship with a guy? And she's very annoying. I don't really want to go into any spoiler territory, especially considering we're getting the 8th book in, but when it comes to relationships, she is so annoying. And I hope that changes, because we've just had a very big moment in book 8. So I'm hoping in book 9 she's a lot better. But yeah, at the moment she ruined the story. That's why I gave it a 4-star, because I really, really enjoyed it. And realistically, if I was basing it on Lindsay and my like for her, it would be getting a 1-star. But I loved it. I loved the story. I just don't like her. So yeah, gave that a 4-star. Great book. Again, can't really say too much about it. You've just got to read the entire series. I can't really say what it's about or anything because I don't want to spoil anything. Then I read my first Shadowhunter book this month, and that was Tales from Shadowhunter Academy. This is by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brenner, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. I do have a full spoiler-filled vlog of me listening or reading, because I did audiobook and physical book to this book, so please go and check that out, only if you have read this book and the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices and the Bane Chronicles and the Shadowhunter Codex. Every book is going to be very much spoiler filled, so only check this out if you have read all of the books I've read. I really enjoyed this. I think I said with this, there is not one story I didn't like. I really, really like them all. I gave this a 4.5. It was very much near perfection. There were a couple of stories that kind of lagged a bit, but I didn't dislike them. There was just some that I liked the least, and then there was some that I was obsessed with. Obviously, I was going to love this because it follows a character that I very much enjoy. And I just realised when I was about to say it, I can't say who it is. But it follows a character I very much enjoy. And if you are a Shadowhunter fan, I would recommend this. I loved it. Great. Can't say anything else. If you have read it, check out the vlog. If you have not, getting towards the end of the year, I did a Cozy Kindle weekend reading vlog. I started a book that I didn't finish, so I won't be talking about it here. I did finish The Island by C.L. Taylor, though, and I gave this book a 4.5 star. It was very dark, very fun. This story follows a group of friends that go to an island for a holiday, and things get very, very dark. I really don't know what's spoiler territory and what is not when it comes to these books, so I'm not going to really mention much, but it's really, really good. It was basically described as Lost meets the Hunger Games, and I could see it. It was not the parts of Lost that I expected, but it was definitely Lost meets the Hunger Games. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was an excellent story, very well developed characters. Some characters were a bit of a pain in the ass, but the rest of them were actually excellent, and I thought it was a really nice ending. I thought it was a very shocking, tense moment. I loved it. Yeah, great book. This was also the very top contender with Shiver for my thriller of the month as well. I thought it was great. Absolutely would recommend. And this book actually releases towards the end of January, so pre-order it or go and find it. Now, I did DNF one book that I completely forgot about because I didn't write it down because it was DNF'd. And that book is Your Neighbour's Wife by Tony Parsons. I started this. I was disappointed with this. It follows a wife who is very big on the fact that you don't cheat on your husband. She then went and cheated on her husband and then basically said that her life was a disaster because the person that she cheated with wanted more than a one-night stand. He wanted a relationship. And she said, oh no, it's ruining my life. Why is he doing this? That's pretty much the blurb, by the way. But it will end deadly. That is as much as I can say. I didn't find out why. I gave up. I didn't like it. I don't like books where characters go against their own morals for plot convenience. I don't like books with affairs and cheating in it because it's not something I condone, especially when it's a main character, because I'm never going to like the main character if that's something they do. So yeah, not for me. Did not like it. DNF'd it. So I went back to the Shadowhunters and I moved on with Lady Midnight, which is book 1 in the Dark Artifices series. This follows Emma Carstairs and her parabatai Julian Blackthorne as they fall in love. Emma is currently on a revenge kick, trying to find out who murdered her parents and get revenge for them. At the same time, she also falls in love with her parabatai Julian Blackthorne, who are not allowed to be in love. Parabatai is a very special bond between two people. It is basically like a platonic soulmate, but the law is you are not allowed to fall in love. And these two do, and suddenly they have to figure out where they go from here. I thought it was really good. I felt as though throughout this story, it was not a Shadowhunter story. It was very much it felt like a teen drama of these kids getting to, not get to know each other, but us getting to know these characters. Then, like, it followed moments of one character making breakfast for their family, and then another character going shopping, and I'm like, that's not what we do in the Shadowhunters. Like, we fight demons, we do dark stuff, and it was just very light and fluffy for a lot of the book. Towards the end, it was amazing, but I really enjoyed the story throughout. My main concern is that it did not feel like a Shadowhunter book, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't care that it didn't feel like a Shadowhunter book. Once I got to the end, I just like, you know what? I love the book anyway. Even if it wasn't a Shadowhunter centered book, I love it. So I gave this a 5-star. I was enamored with it. I loved it. Was it my favorite Shadowhunter of all time? Don't think so. But was it a really great series? It was, yeah, really good. And I'm reading book 2 and 3 in January, so hopefully the greatness now will continue. I read one more book this month, and that was The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I did this as a buddy read with Mel from a book fiend named Mel. I was very worried about going into this because I read the guest list in November. I think it was November. And I really was disappointed. I had such high expectations and I was very let down. I didn't like it. I didn't like the format of finding out who the victim was at the end. Like, I want to know who the victim is so I can then piece together why they died. And Lucy Foley has a writing style where you don't find out who the culprit is or the victim until the end of the book, and it's just very much two narratives. One at the start where it's very much the events leading up to the death, and then one where they find the body and it's the aftermath of it, but you don't find out who it is until the end. And then I found out The Hunting Party was the same, and I thought, oh no. I was really excited to read it until I found that out, and then I was dreading picking it up. But it was recommended that I read this for New Year, so I did, and I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this one a lot more than the guest list. I gave this one a 4-star rating. This one was a lot darker, I think. I didn't know who the victim was, and whilst in the guest list I guessed it pretty much straight away, and whilst I've just said that I don't particularly like that format, I'm glad that I didn't know, because the thing I didn't like about the guest list was that they wouldn't tell us who the victim was, but I knew who the victim was going to be. They made it very, very clear who the victim was going to be, whereas this, it wasn't that clear. I did keep going back and forth. It was only when I hit about the halfway point I thought, I'm fairly certain it's this character, but I don't know 100%. And in the end, it did turn out to be the character I predicted, but it was nice to not be certain. Whereas with the guest list, I was adamant. I knew who it was. There was no interest in it anymore because I knew, and it was obvious. Whereas with this, I didn't know who did it. I didn't know who the victim was. And I really wanted to find out, and I really enjoyed this story. It was great. And yeah, I think that's a bit of a different opinion to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people really don't like this, but they like the guest list. So, very, very unique opinion apparently, but I love this. I know Mel really enjoyed this, and I know that a couple of other people I've spoken to enjoyed this but didn't enjoy the guest list, or enjoyed this more than the guest list. So it was very interesting. I actually really enjoyed the read, and I am very glad that I read it. And that is it. They are the 15 books that I've read and the 1 book that I DNF'd in the month of December. I'm really, really happy to have those 16 books off my TBR now. I can start working my way through the rest of them because there are a lot. But that is it from me, guys. Please let me know down in the comments what your favourite read of December was. I think my favourite read of December was probably Heartstopper, because you can't compare it. It was precious. It was cute. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what your favourite read was. Also, if you've made it here, leave me an emoji of a penguin. I don't know why. It's winter. Penguins are wintry. But that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and a subscribe and a comment and all of that stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video.